guys, welcome to Life is for the Living. Today's topic is about dealing with toxic people. Now, before I begin, I want to give a shout out to one of our subscribers by the name James Momo. James, thank you for leaving a comment. And if you want to be like James, can you subscribe to our channel? Leave a comment on our videos, and then we'll give you a shout out in the next vlog. Now, let's look at who a toxic person is. Now, simply put, this is a person who brings negativity into your environment, or what I like to call them is party poopers. They're people who always like come to a party, and then once they show up, the party is done, or they always bring drama. Now, these are people who like projecting their stresses, or their traumas onto other people. So that's just how I define a toxic person. Now, let's look at some of the characteristics of a toxic person. First of all, a toxic person, has narcissistic kind of behavior. And of course, we know a narcissist is just somebody who, never thinks about their action. They are always, thinking about themselves. They are self-centered. So that is definitely a toxic person. Another characteristic of a toxic person is somebody who likes to gossip. Now, of course, there's always this small grapevine, like office grapevine or something. Okay, sometimes that's okay. But then there are these people who just have this trait that they will always be talking about somebody. Whenever you meet them, they'll be telling you about person A, and then when they meet person A, they'll be telling them about person B. Now, remember, people who tell you about others will also tell others about you. So it's something you have to take note. So if you meet somebody and already probably don't even know them well, and they start telling you about, how bad this boss is or how bad a certain colleague is, then you might be dealing with a toxic person. Number 3, the characteristic of a toxic person, they tend to be abusive. Well, sometimes they may be just passive aggressive, but they, that is toxicity in its own way. So sometimes they will abuse you. It will be verbally, sometimes it could be like physically, then you just know you're dealing with a toxic person. And then another characteristic, they are very insecure. A toxic person always, they will, just because what they do, unto others, they always think people are doing unto them, and they always feel like so they are very insecure people. They are not comfortable in their own skin. And that's why they always want to make other people look bad, so that thinking that they will all be the same. Now, another trait of a toxic person, they possess a lot of jealousy in them. They're just jealous in nature. Anyway, that's a toxic person. A toxic person likes bad mouthing. Even a good thing, they'll always try to find fault. They will always be saying something bad, negative. They possess very little positivity unless they are talking about themselves. Then that's when they'll just be, saying positive stuff, but they like bad mouthing a lot. And then maybe last but not least, another characteristic or trait of a toxic person is like they're very manipulative. You might not even notice, their nature. They might manipulate you in a way that you might not realize until maybe it's too late. But then sometimes they'll just become the victim. They'll try to make the same, be the victim in a certain situation, or manipulate your feelings, or sometimes they will study you, get to know your weaknesses, and then use that to their advantage. So with that said, what are you supposed to do once you notice maybe someone you're dealing with? It could be a family member, it could be a co-worker, it could be your boss, it could just be your neighbor, maybe possessing, such kind of characteristics. Now, as for me, most cases I just tend to cut people off. I just stop dealing with them. But then it also depends on who the person is. That person could be maybe a very close family member that you actually interact on a daily. It's somebody you can't avoid. Maybe it's someone at work or it's your boss. And sometimes maybe if it's your boss and it's the owner of the company, sometimes maybe the only thing is maybe look for another job, But then, okay, if you have a chance of cutting them off, drop them like yesterday, Drop them like it's hot. That's what I would do. Number two, if it's maybe somebody you can't just drop at a go, right? Yeah, you try to minimize contact with them. Try to keep your contact with them at a very minimum, unless it's really necessary. So try to avoid them. Try to avoid going to places where they go to. Just don't try not to be in the same place with them unless it really calls for it. Now you also have to learn to say no to these people. They usually don't like, they usually don't expect, but you have to draw your line. And if they cross the line, don't redraw the line. Stick to the line and say no. Speak for yourself, because they always think they are your voice. So if you try to say no to them, they will either be angry, or that is the time they will try to turn against you. But then sometimes it's always good just to cut it off, because sometimes the juice is just not worth the squeeze. Now you also have to learn to set healthy boundaries with such people. Just bring it to them, bring to their attention that what they're doing is not good, you don't like, and even try to talk to them. Maybe some of them might try to change a little bit, though these people hardly change, but try to set a healthy boundary and relationship with them. Tell them, like, if you don't do this, then probably you're afraid you might not want to deal with them. Yeah. And maybe if you're the only remaining friend, because these people have these kind of characteristics, and mostly you'll find they don't have like people around them, unless people who can entertain them. So probably they might maybe just change a little bit, so that they can just keep you as a friend, maybe as long as it takes until they get the next prey to to bounce on. So you have to evaluate, do a cost benefit analysis of the relationship you have with these people, whether it's worth it. How much, what is it costing you? Is it costing you your peace? Is it costing you your sleep? Is it costing you your friendship? Is it costing you your reputation? You have to do all this analysis, and then so that you can be able to make a decision, because sometimes dealing with them is doing you more harm than good. We just have to accept that some people will never change, some people will never apologize, and even there are those people that even if you lay down for them to work on you, they will still complain that you're not flat enough. There is nothing you can do for these people there. They don't appreciate, if it's not about them, then it can't be done. So once you realize you're dealing with these people, you have to make a decision, because your peace, your sanity is very important. Now, and if they put you in a position where you have to choose, I recommend always choose you, because you matter. And just as our channel suggests, life is for the living. These people can take you to an early grave than you even thought. Until next time, guys.